And we are live.
Technology.
Technology is fun. We were sitting here staring at it go spinning, and we're like, okay, is it going to go live anytime this side of...
And we're like trying to be so professional. We're like, whatever, things not working. Here we go.
And, you know, the moment when you bust out laughing is when it finally decides to go live, and you're like, oh, I had a really funny look on my face. Thanks, guys.
Oh, that's so true story. Seriously.
So exactly. I'm excited to be with y'all here tonight. Give us a live if you're on the hashtag live. If you're on the replay, give us a hashtag replay. I am Haley. I'm the group owner in the Women's Entrepreneur Network. And this is Charlene. She is my sales and marketing expert that we are talking to tonight because we're going to talk about stopping being a slave to sales. Because, yeah, I keep talking to people about sales, and I keep getting like all these really like frightened reactions. Like, we're doing sales to somebody, you know, and it's like you have to have this perfect script, and you have to stand on your head and click your heels, and you have to have the perfect copy. And let's talk about, you know, like all of these things that we do to ourselves, especially in the online world, that I think your offline brick and mortar business owners would be like completely horrified at.
Totally. And I think the ease of it is to realize that you're not selling, you're serving. And I think a lot of people in, you know, surveys in big training groups or small training groups, or when you ask people to raise their hand, a majority of them will raise their hand and say, I hate sales. And all of them will be like, I hate sales. And not one person raises their hand and says, I love sales. Because that person totally is the anomaly. They're technically not real. Like, they're the unicorn, you know? And I think that's funny, because when you're serving people, you're genuinely coming from a place that your product or your service is going to help them. So the fear that people have of sales should just kind of go away. Like, it should magically not be real. And I don't know, Haley, if your experience has been this way as well, where like you're trying to coach your business owners and you're trying to get them, you know, confident about selling, you know, this up level, this higher, you know, price item or service, and they're just looking at you like deer in headlights, like, I have to sell this now. And you're just like, why are you in business?
Yeah. But it's an interesting thing, because it's not even so much the I have to sell this thing now. It's like, what do you mean I have to talk to people? So we're not even at the I have to sell this thing now mind piece. They can't even get to the point of talking to people because they're terrified.
Right. Totally. And that fear is the only thing that's holding them back. Like, it's made up in their mind, it's made up from experiences, and it's made up of these beliefs because, you know, someone said no. And I remember early on,
somebody might say no. They might be rude.
They're gonna say no. And this is what I learned early on in my career. They're not saying no to you, they're saying no to themselves. Because you being the expert, you providing the service or product, are going to still be there. You're not changing. You're not going anywhere. You're going to still help those people who want. So the number one thing that I was coached and mentored on was, Charlene, they're not saying no to you. They're saying no to themselves. And that literally was like, I have no fear. Like, you don't like me? Okay. You don't want it? All right. Like, yeah, I'm going to still go to sleep at night and be totally happy to help those who are ready.
I mean, it's like my younger daughter decided she was going to sell 500 boxes of Girl Scout cookies as a first grader. And I told her she was nuts. And I mean, this progressed over her Girl Scout career. So she ended up selling over 22,000 boxes of cookies in her 12 years of, you know, schooling and Girl Scouts. And, you know, it was really funny because she lost all of that fear of rejection. So somebody would come up and they'd be like, oh, I'm on a diet. Oh, okay. Well, you can buy cookies now and put them in the freezer for when you go off of your diet in March. And I would sit there behind her and try to like shrink into my chair, because I was still in my corporate job throughout most of this. And I would literally want to go like sinking in and dying. And they'd, more often than not, what was amazing to me is that these people would turn around and hand her their credit card. And not only would they buy like one box of cookies, she'd be like, would you like the small box of cookies or the big box of cookies? And they'd look at her and she'd hold up the case and they'll be like, oh, I need the big box of cookies.
Wow. Look
And I'm
at that.
like,
No fear.
okay.
But Haley, she kept it simple, right? She kept it simple, like, hey, you be in total control, right? You make the decision. You're the one with the money. I'm just providing the service. I'm providing these Girl Scout cookies. And you know what? If you buy it, awesome. If you don't, awesome. Like, it doesn't change who I am. I'm going to be that Girl Scout that sells 22,000 boxes in my entire Girl Scout career. Like, it didn't phase her. And I feel like as adults, and we're trying to coach and we're trying to sell, this product, or hey, we're trying to convince people. And I'm like, why do you have to force the sale when you feel like you're forcing and pushing? And I consider this, your reaction, you're reactive to the opportunity. You're actually pushing the opportunity away from you instead of attracting it to you and allowing it to choose you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. And I think that there's this idea that, rather than her standing there and saying, hey, do you want the big one or the little one? And I'll still be here, and it'll still be here when you want it, and going away from that scarcity mindset. When you stop thinking of it as something you're doing to somebody or trying to, make people do things, it's that, no, I'm just here to serve. I mean, I will frequently tell people, it's like, I don't really sell on my consultation calls. And people don't believe me until they get on a call with me and I'm just chatting and they're like, why aren't you trying to sell to me? And I'm like, because if you had a problem I could solve for you, I would let you know that I could solve that problem. And I would let you know how I could solve it for you.
Right.
But it's about solving a problem and offering a service, not necessarily saying, hey, I'm here to try to sell it to you.
Right. So like on this recent call, right, they got referred to me. They saw a post I did. They said, hey, Char, I want to talk to you. I'm like, great. Here's my link, the schedule. She literally at the end of the call was like, okay, this is what I need from you. This is what I need to get from you. This is what I'm like, she's the one trying to tell me like, I need to work with you because this is what you do. And I'm like, okay, but let me first see if this is going to be a good fit. Like the conversation became about her being empowered to make the decision. And if your customer does not feel that, then you're selling to someone instead of actually providing a service to them.
Oh, totally.
It's a different feeling.
Yeah, and when you're doing the sales to somebody, it gives like an icky feeling. But yeah, and so why do you think people are so scared of selling that $5,000 package or $10,000 package?
When you get
whatever.
Well, I think it's the value of your impact, right? So that's kind of what happens when you get in a higher ticket price item. You've been, to Duke, you have your MBA, you have your experience. I have my experience. I've got my black belt. Like you and I can walk in with confidence because we have depth in our experience. We have depth in our career. And so we kind of position ourselves as, yeah, this is how much it costs because all the time and effort I've put into being the best business coach or the best sales and marketing and being able to provide you the best, support and direction. We have confidence in that because we can trust that. And I feel like one of the biggest fears is, a lot of new startups, and this goes for people who are just starting out their business, they go, well, I didn't have enough years or I haven't had this. And so they actually put the energy out of like rejection and doubt. And so they attract customers who are like, well, if you're doubting yourself, maybe I should doubt you. If you're not trusting yourself, maybe I shouldn't trust you.
Oh my gosh, so true.
And the conversation is totally different when you show up in your business as this confidence of, you know what? I know I can solve your problem in 90 days. Hey, I know I can help you get your website up and working and operating and your SEOs and all of your links done. You don't have to sell. The tone and the feeling. Haley, I think in your years of experience, you end up saying, this is the options you have. And a smart business owner is going to make the best decision for them. And you don't really have to convince them.
No. And I mean, my only job, like I have several proposals that I need to write and get out. My only job is really to give them a proposal for here's what I think is a reasonable course of action for your business.
Right.
And they're either going to take it or they're not.
Right. You know, one of the recent experiences, we brought on a client who's a tech company, and, you know, they've been a king of the hill and they're kind of the untouchables. And, you know, everyone's like, Char, how did you even get in front of them? I'm like, I got a referral. Someone just said, go talk to them. You know, so the trust and relationship was there already from the referral. And so that helps again, you know, for some of us who are worried, like, how do I get a sale or how do I make a sale? When that relationship of trust is built and it's a referral, you don't have to worry about convincing them of your worth and that you're, you know, the best choice for the job. You just kind of show up and you listen. I think listening is an important part of the sales process that a lot of people miss.
Well, and connecting.
Yep.
I mean, I think that there's frequently, and I think people are kind of like confused, because one of the things I will tell my new business owners a lot of times is just talk to people and do coffee meetings. And what they hear is, oh, go try to sell to everybody you meet. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about go and build a network. Oh, well, go out and go try to tell everybody what my business is. No. Relationships first. Go find a golfing buddy or a coffee buddy.
But you just said it's so simple, right? Like,
oh, it is very simple, but it doesn't make it easy, because we've lost that social skill of go have coffee with somebody that we don't know very well.
Right.
Go out on a blind date.
But isn't that the weirdest thing? That the more simpler you and I make it, the more complicated people go, that's not possible. Like, shouldn't it be different? Shouldn't it be so overwhelming? And I'm like, I don't know. The only person that's making it harder is yourself, like in the process.
You're tying yourself into knots. And all I'm saying is go have coffee with somebody.
Right. Go sit down. Let's go talk. Let's, hey, let's figure that out. Yes, Marilyn, it is all about confidence. And confidence comes from experience, the willingness to, fail, the willingness to show up, the willingness to be there.
And
Leah.
Yeah, relationships first. But I mean, you don't get the referrals until you have the relationships. You don't get people aren't even going to open their door to you until they have the relationships.
No.
I talk about it all the time as, platform plus relationship plus reputation equals sales. And, you have to talk to people.
But it's not that easy. Like, to some people who are deathly afraid of sales, and they're deathly afraid of, I'm doing it wrong. It's kind of like, how do I say this?
I'm afraid of making friends wrong.
See, you and I can get on these lives and we actually can have a real conversation, and people who watch us are like, it's too simple. They're making it too simple. We're like, it is that simple. Trust us, it is this simple. And
Marilyn, who is the queen of sales, she was a sales director at Cisco.
Oh.
Yeah, it's relationships. I mean, it's interesting too. Like when you talk about corporate sales and you talk about these large IT sales organizations and, sales and IT, a lot of times we forget that those salespeople spend years building up relationships and trust with a company before they get that $10 million sale.
Totally.
It can take 2 to 3 years before you ever see that first sale.
No, it's even deeper than that. They want to know that they can count on you even when you're not selling something. They want to know, and they're going to test you if it's genuine, because then you're going to take care of them even 10 times more as a customer, as a paying customer.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it has nothing to do with the selling part. And it's that trust that they have to be able to trust you before they're going to do it. And I mean, I see it a lot in the online world where I was talking to somebody today and she just got a client and she's like, yeah, somebody just popped in out of the blue, but they had watched every single one of her lives. And I'm like, okay, so they were circling like a shark for a long time,
Right.
you know? And relationship is key. If you care, they care. Right. And I have people who circle me for a very long time. Marilyn and I talked for a year and a half, probably before we did her website.
But this is the thing too, right? Like, and this is something we'll talk about, as we continue to do this for the next couple of weeks, is that you want to be able to get to the person that really needs help, but you've got to put it out there to actually say, I'm here to solve your problem. And how much pain are you in, right? It's like the doctor. If I cut my toe off, I'm in extreme pain. I'm in the emergency room. I'm literally right there. If I am not looking for immediate resolution, that's where they're going to just lurk around. But you want to be able to be clear in your messaging. Marilyn needed a problem solved. She wasn't ready yet to do it. And so you want to make sure you're always consistent so they can trust you. So when they are, they'll engage with you.
And I mean, there was a lot of trust building that had to go here. And she says, I know, love, and trust you. And thank you, Marilyn. And it took some time, right? Because it took us a lot of conversations back and forth to build that trust before we would do it. And Beth says, oh, I love the subject. Absolutely. And I love it too. And it's that whole thing of, people will circle for a long time before they're ready to bite the bullet and spend the money, or it's a referral and it might happen quickly. But even sometimes when it's a referral, it can take a while. Yeah. The sales process can be a very fascinating process of connect.
Right. No, and it allows you to actually, I consider sales a mirror of myself, right? Like, how are my appointments doing? How are some of my relationships? How am I cultivating them? How am I farming them? How am I able to, look at them and see the progression of the relationship? And it shows me, like, am I spending time on nurturing these opportunities, or am I so busy doing other things that I'm missing what is the lifeline of my business, is relationships and sales.
Well, and sometimes we forget that we don't need 10,000 clients in our business. I mean, I have 71,000 people in WEN.
Right.
And as much as I love all 71,000 of them, and hopefully to be more soon, I can't service that many clients ever. I mean, as a digital marketing agency owner, I couldn't ever hope to serve that many people. Right. And, what I have to learn is that it's about trying to nurture as many relationships and positive relationships as I possibly can.
Well, and Haley, you do a great job of allowing us to engage and be, part of groups and our, selling mastermind and being able to, connect with each other. And I think people miss that in the digital space because they're so disconnected already that, you have to work a lot harder in the online space to create those relationships. And so a lot of the people who come in go, why is it taking so long? And I'm like, it's because it's virtual. Like, you're online. There is a lot more work to be done.
Well, and there was a good study on Forbes, and I keep quoting it, about 3.5 years ago now, showing the effect of being online on the brain. And it's a lot like being perpetually high on marijuana. Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
So if you think about it, your prospective clients in the online space are so maybe they have the munchies or something, but they're completely distracted all the time because there's all these things binging and booping and all these, notifications popping up constantly. I mean, it just makes for a really chaotic sales environment. So when you talk about, okay, I'm going to sell to you, it's really challenging because to get to that know, like, and trust factor, it takes so many more interactions and so many more impressions than your standard, you would think, oh, I need to talk to somebody 3 times. Y'all, if I talk to somebody 3 times in person, a lot of times I've sold them. Online, 30 maybe.
Right. And they go, but how? And I'm just like, because it's a different space. It's a different expectation. People are not paying attention. The gal we just onboarded, she said, Charlene, I had at least 12 different calls before I found you. And I said, oh, so what happened? And she goes, every single one of them wanted me to change everything. Every single one of them wanted to, tell me how I was doing it wrong. And I said, so what was different about me? And she goes, you actually listened. You actually wanted me to have success and pick something that you really felt was important. And you held my hand through the process. And I could get that because I saw your lives. I got that because I could see how you engage with people. And you cared about the person before you ever sold me anything. And I think that has to come out even that much more clear on social. Like, you just have to be more genuine.
Yeah, you do. And you have to be more consistent.
Yeah, really, really has to be.
We can show up to a once a month networking meeting in person and do a few coffee dates, and then boom, you've got clients. Does not work that way in the online world.
Not at all, especially in a space that's super I think it's overwhelmed because you've got the onesie twosies who are like, hey, I'm just going to put my toe in the water. And then sometimes they burn, some of these, prospective clients that are like, I'm just too afraid. I don't want to work with someone virtually. It's too far. I want to work with someone in person. And so sometimes, we're kind of left to pick up the pieces.
Yeah. Well, I jokingly will say a lot of times we fix really broken marketing. And a lot of times it's SEO that hasn't been done, or a website with a 9-second load time, or it's the broken links everywhere, or it's and trust me, it's not that I have never had a website with a broken link before. Broken links happen, but it's that going back and fixing it.
Right.
It's that trying to get the thing right that I think a lot of times is not done in the online space. Oh, well, you get 2 revisions and you're done. Do what?
Well, and they don't know any better, right? So you get a client who's like, Char, you need to come to every one of my meetings. And I'm like, why? Because I'm not asking questions like how you're seeing this from a marketing standpoint. I am just a business owner who's like, I know I need this, but I don't know what to ask. And so a lot of times the business owners, unfortunately, don't know what they don't know. And then when we come in, we're trying to either repair them, give them confidence, realize that, this is not typical. This was, someone who totally didn't know what they were doing. So we're so sorry. And we're just like, we want to work with you to help you. But, we're sorry that someone else had burned you or, didn't do their part.
And it takes time to fix, unfortunately. It takes a lot of time to fix. Sometimes it takes twice as long to fix as it did to get into the mess in the first place.
So true. Yeah, Beth, I love that story. That's what happens.
Right?
They take forever to get to you, and you're thinking, I'm right here. But that's the thing. You never know who's watching. You never know who's engaging.
They're hunting you like a bunch of sharks. They're circling.
It's true. It really is.
Oh, and Marilyn says, oh, I know all about that. LOL. Yes, you do. Without going into the story. Yes. And it's one of those things where it is challenging to get things right and to do things right.
But that's why selling isn't selling, right? The secret of selling is not to sell.
Correct.
I want that on a big billboard, like literally on the side of the freeway. The secret of selling is not selling. It's just showing up, being consistent, sharing what you do, having the know, like, and trust factor in all of your content and all of your deliverables, and being able to fulfill. Like, you just show up and they will come. Like, they will literally come to you.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, totally. I mean, it's amazing how you just have to show up and connect.
Right. And Haley, this is the thing, right? Like, here's this big group. We know at any given time, there's 35,000, 38,000 who are online. And there's no way that we all are going to see every single part of content, right? Like, you've got to be on there. And so you've got to follow the rules of engagement. You've got to be consistent. You've got to put things that are relatable. You've got to have conversation starters. So selling doesn't happen when they're ready to sign the contract, right? Selling is happening for the post, the engagement, the Facebook Lives you do, the consistency, managing a group. those are all the touches that have to happen before they ever get to the table to say, all right, so tell me about your offer. Like that just doesn't happen. Like you have to do everything else before it shows up.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and it's that whole sales process, and it doesn't have to be something you're a slave to, and it doesn't have to be scary.
No, it doesn't. It can be actually fun. And you could be excited to say, wow, my client achieved this because we did this. Hey, this, this solution was presented and they went with it, and look at where they are now. Like those are the things that should get us up in the morning as business owners and say, that's why I'm in business. I want to celebrate the successes of my clients.
Absolutely. I love it.
Ugh.
So
Well, we
much
can't
fun.
wait. We can't wait to help everyone. We're like here's Beth. Wow.
Mm-hmm. But don't you think that when you show up in person, whether in Facebook Lives, YouTube podcasts, or even in-person museum, this makes a huge, absolutely. It's a night and day effort in marketing efforts.
Yep.
I will tell you, and I did it my Facebook Live last night on doing lives. People ask me how I grew my group, doing lives, doing challenges, doing webinars, doing a lot of lives. I did lives every single day for almost 2 years.
But what was going to happen? It wasn't going to do it itself on its own. You had to do it.
It fueled the group. It made it grow. It blew up my business. And I mean, I got some amazing clients out of the deal. And I mean, it takes time. It's not like the first time you do a live or the second or the 10th, you're getting all these clients. And sometimes it takes a while for people to really warm up to you. But what I've seen is that consistency of effort just makes a massive, massive difference in growing your business. And you guys have seen me doing lives almost every day for almost a year now. Almost every day.
But this is the thing. If you can master one, if you're going to do one specific marketing strategy, and let's say you're going to do Facebook Lives, and that's all you do, then show up 100% and be all in. If you're going to do the YouTube strategy, then show up and be 100%. Don't try to be 10 different platforms if you're not able to do it, because you're doing a disservice to your business. Like
Absolutely.
Do one really well and stay consistent, right? That's the name of the game.
You do one thing and do it exceptionally well in your business. And it doesn't matter if it's Facebook Lives, podcasting, YouTube channel, Clubhouse, LinkedIn.
Just show up.
Yeah, do one thing. Email marketing, they all work.
Right.
I hear it all the time. There is this one magic way to get all the clients in the world.
Well, there was a survey that just came out, and they said that still to this day, on average, $38 to every email campaign can be guaranteed. So like before Facebook, likes used to be around $140. Like the value of that one, like was worth that. And I think, you know what, as the market is getting more saturated by a lot of these online, you've got to push your message even more. You've got to be consistent. You've got to really push these strategies, because you're in a super heavy competitive market now, because everyone's using these tools.
Yeah, well, everybody has access to them, right? Because it's gotten a lot less expensive to have access to a good email marketing system.
Right.
People know how to give out a good opt-in or, whatever. The information is readily available. So the barrier to entry is non-existent.
Yeah, it really is. And I think that's the reason why we picked the theme, like stop being a slave, to sales, because it's really a mindset. It's really just following something super simple. It's about being consistent. And Haley, you're great at bringing people together. This has really helped us with our mastermind and being able to connect with the right people, because we show up. We're 100% all in.
Yeah. Well, and you have to show up and be 100% all in, no matter what you're doing.
Right.
You've got to be 100% all in.
Yeah.
Totally.
Wow.
Love it. Thank you so much.
Hey, thanks so much. And we really want to pour into each one of you guys. And we hope, these are helpful lives when we get to, create some magic, because we want you to enjoy your business. There's so many people who need you. And we know that you might be that one person who's going to solve a big problem in that person's business, but you don't understand. You solving that problem might give them the freedom from a job, or freedom to be with their children, or freedom to, recommit to their life. Like, we don't know what impact we're going to make, but sales is the lifeline of a business. And so we hope this is like so juicy that you can't like stop thinking about it tomorrow.
That's awesome. And Marilyn said, thank you for this live.
Oh,
Thank
awesome.
you.
We love it. Yay,
Awesome.
guys. We
Yay.
love it being here.
Thank you guys so much for joining me. This has been so much fun. I like getting on with somebody who's got so much energy and so much fun and great perspective. Thank you for joining me
Thanks,
tonight.
Haley, so much. This was great. Thanks again.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Take care.